much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 17, and I want to say episode 7. So let's get into it. So the episode opens up, and we see Shannon at John's house. So we all know that John lives by the water and has the boat. It has a pretty nice, like, man pad or bachelor pad or whatever. And so they're supposed to be, like, cooking lunch or dinner together. And I guess they asked Shannon in the confessional, like, when are you guys gonna move in together? And Shannon said something about, like, not until the girls leave for college, or not wanting to move him in until the girls were gone. And we find out in this episode that both of her twins are about to graduate and go to college, but we don't know because they haven't even applied. But we also know her oldest daughter is already in college and is planning to, like, live wherever she's attending school. So all I'm gonna say about this whole scene with her and John, awkward. It was so awkward. And then it made me think about how we all kind of like that. So if you don't know, before this season 7 like wrapped, it came out that John and Shannon broke up. That John broke up with Shannon, and that he was trying to be nice and waited till the end of the season to break up with her. I remember the blogs like reporting all of that. And honestly, I'm gonna give him a point for that, because I feel like, especially the way Shannon acted in this episode, and we're gonna talk about it, about wanting to be in a relationship and crying about, like, you know, her ex-husband and their dissolution of his marriage. It made me feel like John kind of did care about Shannon to a certain extent, that he knew had he broke up with Shannon before they started filming season 17 or during the filming of season 17, Shannon would have been on one. Shannon would have been on one, because Shannon in this episode, she was like, all I wanted is to be partnered. That's all I wanted. And I was like, Shannon, calm down, girl. Calm down. So I'm just like, wow. Wow, girl. Wow, you okay. But their interaction in this scene, this opening scene, was awkward. And it was awkward because you can kind of tell that, like, they're at a crossroads in their relationship, where it's either we're going to move forward with you know, moving in together and starting to plan to be together for the long term. And that doesn't necessarily mean marriage, but it does mean, like, you know, us creating being lifelong partners. Or are we going to break up or stay where we're at? And I feel as though Shannon wants more, but I think David is kind of like seeing that this probably isn't the relationship he needs to be in, because Shannon is so preoccupied with other things. And, you know, we know she started her business, and then her kids are like leaving, and she's trying to make sure her business is successful in the sense of being able to pay for her kids going to college. So it's looking like Shannon hasn't really had time for John, and John is kind of like, well, if this is what life is going to be, what's the point of us being in a relationship? Because it was kind of given that, like, they were sitting on that couch, and it was a lot of, like, awkward, like, pauses and silence where I was like, yeah, this is weird. Okay, so then we flip over to a scene of, we see Heather, Tamara, and Emily going to go get, like, manicures and pedicures, and Tamara's already there, and then Emily pops up after Tamara, and she was like, well, how was Montana? It sucks I missed it. She was like, well, you know, Heather shoveled, you know what, like, shoveled, like, horse poop. And Emily's like, for real? And she said that was a highlight of her experience. And then you have Emily in her confessional being like, I don't know if Heather, like, understands, but, like, she comes off condescending. And, like, this whole episode pissed me off because it feels like they're just picking at Heather. They're picking at Heather, and they're trying to find reasons to have an issue with her. Her saying that shoveling poop gave her opened her eyes and being more appreciative is not that big of a deal for y'all to be like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know how to read the room. Oh my gosh, she's condescending. We know Heather is condescending, but y'all didn't have a problem with Heather being condescending until Tamara came around. But what they're accusing Heather of being up Tamara's ass, Emily and Gina are kind of doing it in a roundabout way, where it's like, now all of a sudden y'all got an issue with Heather. So Heather finally comes in, and she sits down, and she talks about how her back is still hurting. And then Emily's like, okay, so tell me some other stuff, like other things, like how was Taylor? You know, I haven't spoken, like, I don't really know Taylor, so I want to get to know her better. And Heather's like, it was all right, we cool, we great. And then I think Tamara said something about, well, they kind of got into it. She told Taylor to like F off or like F herself. And they get on the discussion about the argument that Taylor and Heather had, but Heather gets offended because Emily is outright already on on Taylor's side by being like, well, we did talk about it. So they show us a flashback scene of when Taylor and Emily had a discussion at Tamara's Cut Fitness, their ending of the business party, where Taylor was like, this is a serious movie, and it just felt like she was putting me down. And Heather's kind of like, whoa, 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 why are you already like automatically taking her side? And then Emily's like, well, you do kind of come off condescending, and I don't think you mean to be that way, but that is kind of how you come off. And Heather's like, I don't own that. I do not, like, she was like, that wasn't my intention. And it's like, if I didn't come in that with that intent, so why are y'all like, why is everyone coming at me? And she was just like, I had other things going on, and her movie wasn't a priority. It wasn't a priority. So Heather ends up at the end of the scene inviting them to Nobu because that's her favorite place. I wonder if they have like partial business ownership in Nobu, because Heather, the past 2 seasons, they always going to Nobu for something. They're always going to Nobu for something. So Heather is just like, I'm inviting all the girls. They're like, you're inviting Taylor? She was like, yeah, because I'm not that petty. I'm going to invite everybody. The next scene we see is of Gina going to Jen's yoga studio. We see Jen teaching yoga. She explains about how this is like, it used to just be a hobby, but then it became a passion for me, and I want this business to succeed because I guess in her marriage, her husband was the main one with most of the control of the money, and she was just like, I need to make sure that I can do this on my own, so I'm trying my best to make this business worthwhile. And that's understandable. Like I tell y'all all the time, it's nothing wrong with wanting to live that soft girl life, but you always need to be stashing money on the side. If that man or woman you with or whoever you with giving you money or an allowance, girl, go open up a private checking account and put your money in there, okay? Because financial abuse is real. It is real. And it's not, oftentimes we look at it as gender based, like, because we see men do it to women more than not in like heterosexual relationships, but women can do it too. I've seen women do it to men as well as their children, and men can do it to their children too. But it's always important to be financially independent, okay? You can still live that soft girl life and still save your money. Save your money, okay? Always save your money. You need to have a spending account, a rainy day fund, and a savings, okay? Save your money. Have a good time, enjoy life, but save your money. So Gina walks in. Y'all, Gina needs to seek a professional for her posture. Her posture is so bad. It is so bad. And y'all know I don't like her, but like low-key I'm concerned, because she walked in to Jen's yoga studio and her head entered into the building before her entire body. It was like head then body followed. And normally when we walk into places, you walk first, you walk and then you come in, if you all together. And I already felt like Jen's posture was trash when last season, when she was wearing that blazer and her head was all the way down here and she's looking at everybody, but her shoulders are up here. And I said, girl, fix that. Like, on some real, Jen needs to be either wearing Gina needs to be wearing a brace or like something. I hope the lady don't got like scoliosis or something, but like her posture is horrible. Like, she needs to get in one of them chairs where they sit you up and shoulders back, cause I'm just like, Jen, get it together. So they sit down and have a conversation. Gina ends up apologizing to Jen and wanting to move forward with their relationship and realizing that like she had things that she hadn't dealt with, and being around Jen brought up bad emotions that she needed to deal with. Then Gina asks Jen about Tamara and was like, are you and Tamara good? And she was just kind of like, we talked. And then they show a flashback scene of when they're around the campfire and it's Jen and Tamara talking. And Tamara's just like, I'm just concerned for you. I'm not saying this to like hurt you, but I'm just concerned for you. And Jen's whole thing is like, I've never had friends treat me this way, but I'm going to give Tamara the opportunity to prove to me that she's not that type of person. And this is the one time I agree with Gina in this whole entire episode is when she told, like in her confessional, when she was like, you're expecting some type of like goodness from Tamara when she's already shown you that she's not your friend. I don't know why you're giving these expectations on her. And I do agree. Tamara already showed you she is not your friend. She is not somebody to be valued as a friend or cherished as a friend. Because if Tamara really did care about Jen, and like I said before, she would have pulled Jen aside and told her all the dirt that she knew about her man. And then they would have like sat down. But because she's doing this in front of everybody, and she's doing it in a bad way, because there's no like tact or like caring, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what you're supposed to get out there, lady. So then the scene switches and we see a scene with Emily, Shane, and the kids. And I'm not going to lie, I teared up for Emily because her mom, we all know she hasn't had the best relationship with her mom, but she wants to work on it. And her mom sent her pictures of her and her sister when they were children. And it just brought up all of these emotions for Emily, where she was just like, they kind of, these pictures of me and my sister kind of look like me and my twin boys. And then they're showing the pictures to the oldest daughter saying like, this is grandma, like, oh my gosh. And so she's getting really emotional. And Shane is not the comforting type, because he didn't try to like hug his wife. He didn't try to like rub her shoulder or nothing. The lady having a breakdown and you just like, just call her. Just call her. So, Shane suggests to Emily, like, well, why not, like, because Emily's like, well, I want to invite her to Orange County because we haven't seen her since 2018. Like, I would like her to come and see the kids. And Shane's like, I think that would be a good idea because that will be a way for you guys to show that your relationship is progressing. So she goes upstairs, she sits on the floor, and I guess she was like FaceTiming her mom, because her mom is like, oh my God, Emily, what's wrong? Because she was crying, and she's like, no, it's just like, it's happy tears, it's sad tears. She was like, the pictures you're sending me, they just bring up good emotions. And the mom was like, well, at least I know your childhood wasn't so bad. It wasn't too bad, was it? And Emily laughs. And then she was like, I want to invite you to come to Orange County. I'll pay for your ticket. I want you to like really be a part of the kid's life. And it made me like tear up a little bit, only because it makes you realize that like some parents are just, they're not good, but they don't mean to be not good. You know what I mean? We all know there are horrible people that are parents who are just bad and they should have never had children. And then there are some people who are just like in a bad way and they're trying to fight their way through it. But then in conjunction, you got kids attached to you. And it's like, while you're trying to get through your stuff and your trauma. And Emily even talked about how, my dad left and then it was just the three of us. And my mom probably was depressed and trying to get over her hurt and her feeling of being abandoned by my father, and then it spilled over to her and her sister. And it's like, you look at your parents sometimes as being like invincible and not as human, because as a child, all you know is these people feed you, clothe you, they hug you when you're sad, you have good moments with them. And then when you get older, you start to realize that like, okay, they're human too. They have bad days. They battle depression, probably anxiety. People get on their nerves. They're real people. And I think that's what Emily is realizing right now with her mom. And their situation is that like, yeah, my childhood, it was not what I wanted it to be compared to everybody else. I'm hearing all these kisses and rainbows that they're going through, but it wasn't so bad to where I should be having this much anger and frustration towards my mom, because it seems like she was just trying the best that she could with what she had. And it doesn't seem like the lady was doing it intentional. Now, if you find out that your mama was intentionally like just screwing y'all over, be angry. Be angry and let them know you're angry. But it doesn't seem like that's what her mom was doing. It seems like her mom was trying to work, keep a roof over the kids' heads, and feed them, okay? And make sure they didn't get messed up. Next thing we have is of Shannon and her girls going to a consignment shop. Shannon's reasoning for going to the consignment shop, Other than for me, it would have been like, because things are cheaper and they're still nice. She said it offsets the chemicals that they put in your clothes because someone has already worn it and done their due diligence of washing and dry cleaning it. So it's reducing the chemicals. I said, girl, we know Shannon is sunshines, juices, and berries and UV rays over there. But her children would aggravate me if I was her. They would. Her two twins, them two 18-year-olds would irritate me with how they don't have a sense of urgency when it comes to for applying to college or getting themselves ready for college. Unless they go to like a gateway high school, which I just learned what that is because that is not a school that I went to where I grew up, but they're both trying to go. I think the two acronyms that they said was NYU, and I think that's the school that's in Syracuse, and then NSU. Is that Notre Dame? I feel like I'm wrong, but I can't think of nothing other than, is that North Dakota? Is there a school in North Dakota? No, the pig is Arkansas, isn't it? I don't know. I just know the two schools that she said I think are like prominent like D1 schools. So the coin is like tuition is astronomical. So while they're in the store and they're like looking for outfits and things of that, I did laugh when Shannon was trying to get one of the girls to put on an outfit and the girl was like, Mom, no. And she was like, I don't want you to, I'm not gonna buy it, I just want you to wear it. My mom does that to me all the time. I'm like, I do not, just put it on, I just want to see you in it. But Shannon is basically, they kind of get into it a little bit where Shannon is like, okay, we have to get a graduation counselor, and the girls are like, no, Dad said, while they were in Paris, because we know they went to Paris, she was like, Dad said we don't need a graduation counselor, we need like an essay evaluator or something like that. And she was like, no, you need both. And then the girl was like, that puts me in an awkward spot to tell Dad to like this when you're saying this. And Shannon's like, well, it's not going to put you in an awkward spot because I'm going to talk to him and I'm going to get the graduation counselor for you. Because Shannon was like, the graduation counselor curate your application to where you stand out amongst like maybe 1,000 or 1,500 applicants to the school. So it's definitely important that you guys get that. And my thing is like Shannon, like I said, Shannon's daughters would irritate me because there doesn't even seem to be any sense of urgency as to like doing anything or filling out any of the applications, because the one of the girls was like, well, the graduation counselor is only needed if we don't know where we want to go, and we know where we want to go. That's how we found out it's like NYU and NSU. And she was like, we just need someone to look over our essays. But then the other daughter, not the one that was in the white, I think the girl in the black, the daughter in the black was like, well, we haven't even filled out the application. Girl, what? And it's like, that would irritate me. That would so irritate me because it's like either you're going to miss the cap for turning in everything, because I think kids don't understand, and even I didn't understand when I was that young, how long it takes to ask for transcripts, and they have to be official transcripts where it's sealed and it has the little tape that says do not open. Once you open it, it's not official anymore and all that stuff. And like getting recommendation letters and all this. I feel like kids don't understand that like there's time, like you need to do all of this in advance, so by the time it comes for you to submit the application and pay your application fee, you good, and there's no more stress. They would stress me out because at my school, at my high school, when we did graduation, well, not graduation, but when you got in your acceptance letter, down our hallway, we had school logos, and they gave everybody a like a cap. It was like a cutout little cap in our school colors with your name printed on it, and it was laminated, and everybody could put your cap on the school that you were going to. And we had one for like military, just going straight to the workforce, and then all the colleges. And there were at least like 50 colleges, because my school was pretty big, but in my class when I graduated, I was like sixth to last or fifth to last out of like 600 kids that graduated from my senior class. So it's like everyone had their name, so it was like you were excited to do it. But I don't know, and it was always weird to me when I would meet people who are like, oh, I haven't finished my application. And I'm like, we applied to the same school. The deadline is in like 2 days. What you mean you ain't finished it? Did you turn everything else in? Is everything else saved on the application file? What we doing? Stressful. And so they end up buying like 2 hoodies from the consignment shop in a purse. I'm glad they put the price tag on there, because when that lady said $3,266, and all I remember hearing them Shannon say is like, oh, the little Shannon's daughter be like, oh, we just want these 2 hoodies, and them 2 hoodies were like $40. I said, where did the 3,000 come from? But I guess they also bought a Louis Vuitton bag that was already $3,100. I said, girl, girl, too much. So we see everybody arriving for Shannon's little like Duffy ride, which is just a little small boats that you see on the harbor down where they're at. And it's a cute little pink boat. She actually ends up inviting Lauren, the black coach that we found out was like she attended Broadway, that was helping her and Taylor. But Taylor gets to the boat first, and they end up having a conversation, and they pretty much apologize to each other, and they end up asking Heather, like, was that sincere? And Heather's like, I feel like Taylor's sincere about making this bigger than what it was, because like I didn't do nothing. And I don't really think Heather did anything wrong. I just don't think she wanted to be a part of it, and she probably should have just came out and been like, I don't really want to be a part of this. I don't mind attending acting sessions with you to make you feel comfortable, or running lines with you, but I got a lot on my plate trying to make sure my 2 oldest kids are secure and ready to go to college. So I don't really have time for this, other than being like, girl, that's cute. That's cute. And I mean, Heather was being condescending with the, oh, that's cute. That's cute. But it's just like, Taylor took it too far. I think she took it too hard too quickly, because I'm like, Taylor, this is your first acting job, and the project you're on seems like it's like a D-list movie that's probably going to end up on Tubi or like Netflix. Well, I don't even know about Netflix, but it's giving very Tubi. Is it Vudu? That other app on the Roku TV that's like VUDU. I don't know how to say it, but this is not giving that. This doesn't even give that it's going to be like on just television, girl. Like, so calm down. Everyone finally arrives to the Duffy. They all get on the boat. Tamara spills juice on herself. She tried to blame it on Heather, but then they rolled it back, and she was the one that knocked it on herself. We also find out that this day of the day that they're going to Nobu is Shannon and David's like wedding anniversary, and she said it on the Duffy, and I was with Tamara. Tamara was like, if you're with somebody else and you're happy, why would you even want to bring up that it is you and your husband's wedding anniversary, unless you were just making a dig? And Tamara was like, girl, something wrong with that, because I don't remember my wedding anniversary with my ex. And so they finally get to Nobu. They walk up the little ramp after they dock the Duffy, and they all sit down. Heather love a good setup of cutlery, nice dishware. So she got all of them chopsticks with their name engraved on them. And then she gives them a candle that says, you're too fabulous to be shoveling shit. And it's in Japanese. And it's a Tom Ford candle. And we know them candles are like between like $100 and $200. And everyone in their confessional is like, Gina says Heather's trying to win her over with chopsticks and a candle, because she knows that I'm a New Yorker and like I speak my mind. Gina thinks too highly of herself because nobody's thinking about you, lady. Then you have Emily being like, Heather is one of the most unaware people I've ever met. Then you have Shannon being like, I've shoveled shit and I'm good, I'm okay. And then you have Tamara being like, Heather DeBro thinks she's too good to be shoveling, ish, like we all can shovel it. And I'm like, why are y'all holding on to this? This is why it feels like y'all are nitpicking at Heather, because none of y'all in y'all day-to-day lives are out there in the pastures scooping up cow patties and horse doo-doo and throwing it away. You're not doing that. So her making that joke is not that deep. Just take the $100 candle and be happy that someone even gave you one and thought of you in that way. Girl, it's a free candle. Calm down. So they're sitting down at the table after Heather gives everyone stuff at the table. So the setup is you have Tamara on the left-hand side. Jen is sitting in front of her. Then it goes Taylor beside Jen. Then Laura, the black girl who helped with Taylor and then like the acting coach. Then you have Heather and then Shannon, and then at the end of the table you have Emily and Gina. So they're sitting, and then Emily's like, so what, give me the deets, like what happened in Montana? And Heather's like, can we only talk about like the happy things, the fun things? And she's like, and Emily's like, no, I really want to know what went down. And Heather's whole thing is like, I want to make it to the entree. I want to make it to the entree, because the last time, she had her Nobu party, she kicked everybody out because of like the whole argument that happened between Shannon and that other girl who didn't want to get vaccinated. All of that stuff. So I think Shannon or Tamara brings up, well, Gina was triggered by Jen and things of that nature. And they start to talk, and Jen says, me and Gina are fine. Like, we talked, we're moving forward. So then Heather's like, can y'all just restart? And then you got Gina at the end of the table being like, why do you always want to restart things? Why can't we just go forward? And Heather's kind of like, well, we are getting to know her now. Why do y'all really need to know about her past like that? So Emily, being loud, is like, well, you need to know someone's past so you can understand where they're at in their future. And then Tamara chimes in and agrees with Emily. So while they're sitting there, I think something about, they were all talking, things start to go left, because Tamara says to Jen, I always told you to just be honest. I've always told you to just be, like, a bajillion times, I've always told you to be honest. And Jen is like, I've been honest. Like, what are you talking about? And Heather's like, no, Tamara's like, you never told us what was going on in your marriage. And Jen is like, I told y'all my marriage was not in a good place. Like, no one would even notice me when I was with my husband. And then Shannon's like, in all fairness, when you're going through a bad time, you don't really tell people your information because, like, you're either ashamed or you just really don't want to talk about it. And they just was like, there's a lot of things coming out about him now. And Jen is like, what? So then I think Emily brought up about, well, I heard about the dick pic. And they start talking about it. And then Shannon has a face like, girl, why'd you say it? So then they flash back and we see Shannon telling Emily about the said picture being sent. And so they start talking. Tamara says, Emily said, I guess people are just wondering, like, if Ryan cheats on you again, or we don't know if he cheated on her, but we're feeling like he is. But she was like, if Ryan does something, we're wondering if you're just going to sweep it under the rug. And she was like, he hasn't done anything. And then Tamara's like, are you sure about that, Jen? And then they flash back to when Heather and then we're all getting ready to go to Montana. And that's when Jen brings up, like, we were on a break and he started messing around with a girl. And Tamara's like, a girl that I know. And like I said, it seems like they were already, like I said in my last review, that Ryan and Jen probably got into it, and then Ryan was like, we need a break, and in his version of a break, he went and slept with somebody else, even though they were probably still together in a sense. So next thing you know, she was just like, I just feel like, Tamara said something about, like, I'm worried for you. I feel like you left your entire world and I just want this to work out for you. And that's when Jen is like, I didn't leave my husband, like my family or my husband, for Ryan. I left because I needed to leave. I needed to leave. I needed to leave. So then Tamara gets mad because I guess she's not getting the reaction out of Jen that she wants. So she was like, do you know what he said to me? Do you know what he said to me? All the while, you got Miss Lauren is sitting there, eyes big, like, because she cannot believe these women are fighting at this table like this. She was like, he said when he saw me, he wanted to F me. And Jen is like, girl, okay, we already talked about this. And she was like, everybody, and she was like, you're the only one that's came up to me about this, Tamara. And then Emily chimes in and was like, no, I kind of heard things about him. So that's when Tamara's like, we live in a small town and your boyfriend's an effing whore. And I was like, oh. And you see Lauren's eyes like, oh my gosh. And like, she is so like perplexed at Tamara. Like, she's just looking at Tamara like, girl, did she need some medicine? Did she need a Xanax? Calm down. So Jen is taken aback. Like, she can't believe that Tamara is doing this to her. And so then that's when Tamara tells her about what Eddie told Tamara about, you know what your husband, what Ryan's friend said to my husband, that you need to watch your wife around him because he sleeps with married women. So everybody at the table is like, girl. And so everyone's like, okay. So Jen is like, really, Tamara? Really? Like, what else was said? Because I was there that night too, and like other things have happened too. So then Jen in her confessional was saying that there was like a barbecue. And at the barbecue, Ryan invited everybody. Jen wasn't there, but Tamara, Eddie, and a few other people that they know were there. And Tamara said something to the effect of like texting her like, girl, I'm at the hot gym guy's place. And like, should I go upstairs and take one for the team? Jim was like, we thought it was funny and we moved on from it. Now she's trying to make it seem like it was more than what it was. So then Jen tells Tamara, girl, watch it. Like, watch it, Tamara, because don't play with me. Don't play with me. And so Tamara's like, watch it. Girl, watch it. So she's like, because you weren't out, like he wasn't the only one, or I wasn't the only one that was sweet on him too, because Tamara said something about like, I knew you were sweet on him. And Jen is like, and who else was, Tamara? Who else was? So then Tamara gets mad after Jen says watch it, and then she throws a napkin in her face, and Jen catches it, because then Tamara's like, you think I wanted Ryan? Like, are you serious? You thought I was into him? And she stands up. Lauren is like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So Tamara does what we know Tamara is with the theatrics. So she gets up and she's like, you thought I was into him? No, like you thought I was into him? Everyone else is at the table like, no. We are in a nice establishment. Y'all ain't about to act ignorant up in here. So Tamara's like, I'm done. And so she walks around the table like she about to walk up on Jen. And Jen is looking at Tamara. And I'm like, Jen, if you don't get up and yoga punch her in the face, because girl, Jen is just sitting there. You got Taylor holding on to Jen like, okay. Shannon gets up. I think Gina gets up. And it's like, no. Like, we not doing this. We are not doing this. And like, I think someone was like, stop it, Tamara. Like, chill out, stop it. And then Tamara was like, I'm going. So she runs out. Shannon runs behind her like a lost puppy. Everyone's just sitting at the table like, Jen, like, girl. And then while they're at the table, it seems like Jen is protecting Tamara. And everyone's like, girl, you have every right now after she threw that in your face to air her out. And everyone's looking at her like, why are you trying to protect her? After she just exposed you like this, like, air the lady out. Why are you trying to protect her? And Jen is just like, I just think Jen was in a state of shock because she couldn't believe that lady threw that napkin in her face. And Heather is like, we're cool with you. Like, we want to get to know you. We want to know you're all right. But like, you need to say something. So while they're at the table, you then see Shannon and Tamara outside, and Tamara's like, how dare she try to act like I want her man? I don't want that man. I'm trying to protect her. And it's like, Tamara, shut up. So then they go to the bar. They're taking shots. Tamara's being irate and belligerent. So while they're sitting down at the table, they flash back to the table. And then Emily gets mad at Heather and is like, Heather, you have a phony relationship with her, pointing to where Tamara was sitting, pretty much saying that Gina and Emily feel like Heather has been fake and kind of pushed them to the side ever since Tamara came back into the spot. And they feel like Heather is scared of Tamara after the way Tamara did Shannon, and how Shannon, like how, all that stuff happened. So then Gina pipes up and pretty much says, Heather, I don't even know if I have a real friendship with you. And Heather's looking at Gina like, girl, what? What is going on? And she's like, I was there for you. You were there for me, but then you threw me under the bus. And then now, and then you said the thing about Travis. And Heather takes it. She's like, you know what? I'm sorry, and I will fix that. I'd have told Gina to kiss my ass. That's what I would have told her. Because then Heather tries to explain, like, y'all, I'm trying to like deal with being an empty nester as well as get my kids ready to go to college. Like, I don't really have time for y'all. It's a hectic time in my life. She was like, even after this, I'm taking a red eye to go check on my child because she deals with anxiety. And this is the first time she's been on the other side of the continent. Yeah, North America is a continent. Yeah, she on the other side of the continent or the country or whatever. She's just like, I got more things on my plate right now, and I'm not really concerned about y'all feelings, but I'll fix it. I'd have told them to kiss my ass. I'd have told both Gina and Heather to kiss Gina and Emily to kiss my ass. So, what's her name? Tamara and Shannon come back. You got Tamara telling Gina she's livid with her. And Jen should have just been like this to her. I'd have been like this to that lady that whole time. Don't talk. I'd have told that lady, do not talk to me. Do not talk to me. Like, dude, you just threw something in my face. You trying to like spray my relationship. Do not speak to me, lady. So they're sitting there. Then Tamara's drunk and she goes around to sit next to Shannon because then Heather gets a text that says from Terry that says that David and his wife broke up, or like filing for divorce. Shannon gets emotional. She gets emotional. She starts worrying about her kids and all of that stuff and yada yada yada. And Shannon is like, oh my gosh, telling her daughters to call their dad to see if he's okay. The daughter's like, I don't know if I want to talk to him like that. And she's like, no, you need to call him. This is something serious. I'm like, why do you care about that man divorcing? He cheated on you. He trashed you. I wouldn't care if he fell off a bridge. Well, maybe you would want him to survive. You know what I mean? You don't want nobody to die, but I wouldn't care. Like, she breaking down about it. It is giving like, cause y'all know there's been pictures of David and Shannon hanging out that they might be trying to rekindle something. And I hope that's not true. Cause I would never. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in the comments below. Deuces.